endured by Ghanaians between the end of 2011 and 2016. Not even the creation of a new Ministry of Power by him could save the nation from the excruciating effects of DUMSO, resulting in the dismissal of then Minister for Power in January 2015. Even in 2016, there were major power interruptions which were blamed on maintenance and what was described as localized faults, a new term for PR stunt intended to cover up DUMSO, as the government was avoiding issuing load shedding timetable despite public demands for it because the general elections were close. Yet, the Ghanaian people knew DUMSO had not ended because they lived with it and continued to suffer from it. Mr. President, you did not fix DUMSO as you claimed in your address.
What?
Your record on DUMSO is abysmal, unlike your predecessor, Nana Adress, who kept the lights on.
Yeah.
As we are back to DUMSO in another MAHAMA term, Ghanaians remember with fear and anxiety the potential devastation this could cause for them and their businesses, especially small businesses like hair salons, welders, dressmakers, and many more who earn their daily bread from these vocations. Many people and businesses have already felt the pinch and the pain of living with the current DUMSO. We have also seen the return of electric generation sets in shops, in clinics, and at social events. Mr. President, this is the true state of our nation and not what you presented to Parliament. To ameliorate the impact of these erratic power challenges, we, the mighty minority, call on the government to publish a load shedding timetable today to help people and businesses plan effectively to offset some of the losses the economy is currently suffering from. On the petroleum sector, the record will show that production of crude oil has declined because President MAHAMA signed contracts with 13 companies, most of which, in fact, all of which, had no technical or financial capacity to undertake oil activity. However, President Akufo-Addo administration rather introduced measures for aggressive reserve replacement on assumption of office in 2017. As a result of these measures, between 2018 and 2022, 7 discoveries of crude oil were made. Ladies and gentlemen, as industry watchers know, the COVID-19 pandemic slowed down operations across the oil industry in the world, which affected the appraisal of these discoveries in Ghana. Incentivized these companies, the then government, the Akufo-Addo government, took the decision to restore their lost time to them. Several amendments were also made to the existing frameworks to provide further incentive to the industry. The MPP government could therefore not be accused of creating a hostile business climate and excessive political interference in the words of President MAHAMA. The MPP administration also added to crude oil production with the coming on stream of Jubilee Southeast in September 2023, which added 30,000 barrels of oil per day to production from the Jubilee field, thereby taking production from the field to 100,000 barrels of oil per day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are alarmed at the risk of these power challenges, reversing the economic turnaround in Ghana, as evidenced by the resurgent economic growth achieved last year. The dangers to economic growth are very visible for us to see. There is no reliable power supply now. Investors are being turned away by a government that is baselessly painting a bad picture of its own economy. And contractors are not being paid, despite the 68 billion Ghana cedis approved by Parliament for the government to spend in the first quarter of the year. And notwithstanding the significant amount of revenue at their disposal to meet these spending requirements, including, for example, the over 5 billion Ghana cedis buffer left for them, the 8.7 billion Ghana cedis collected by Ghana Revenue Authority for January 2025 alone, and about 67 billion Ghana cedis borrowed in less than 2 months. Many government projects have halted as a result, and the resultant job losses by young Ghanaians is very painful and unfortunate. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, the prospects for growth, economic growth, in this first quarter of 2025 remain weak and sluggish, and the government must change its economic management strategy as soon as possible. The MAHAMA administration made a lot of political gains by highlighting the plight of young Ghanaians who were yet to get jobs after over 2 million others had gotten jobs in the 8 years of the NPP administration. They promised 2 more people for each job under the 24-hour economy program. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now a notorious fact that to create vacancies for the purpose of employing NDC youth, the MAHAMA administration has sacked thousands of young Ghanaians who had been properly employed by the previous administration. The termination of the jobs of young Ghanaians, which has become synonymous with Mr. President Mahama, who we now prefer to call Terminator 1, is a sign of what is yet to come. Sacking people from employment and replacing them later with others does not amount to job creation. What the people of Ghana want are new jobs for those yet to be employed. President Mahama knows that the programs he outlined in his statement, Nkoko, Nkitikiti, and the rest, cannot create sustainable jobs for the Ghanaian youth. Hence, the resort to termination of existing jobs for future replacement to shore up his job numbers. This is after President Mahama had argued, sadly, in 2016, that it was legitimate for an outgoing administration to recruit and sign deals up until the midnight of January 7 the following year, when its term expires. Not only are these double standards worrying, but the dismissals will no doubt worsen the unemployment situation which he promised to fix. The thousands who have been dismissed have been condemned to suffering and hardship. The fight against Galamsey has been difficult, no doubt. The President Mills struggled with it. President Mahama struggled with it in his first term. And despite the best of efforts, President Akufo-Addo also struggled with it. After having made so much propaganda about it, while in opposition, key NDC figures appearing before Parliament's Appointments Committee could not substantiate any of the propaganda allegations of the MPP being complicit in the Galamsey phenomenon. In contrast, media networks are now reporting that weeks after the election, known NDC kingpins in the Ashanti region have invaded some forests and commenced Galamsey activities there. Also in the western region and the eastern region. And western north, all over. The president is quiet, silent on all this. On the 19th day of January 2025 edition of the Ghanaian Daily Graphic, it was reported that illegal miners numbering about 60 breached the Anglo-Gold Ashanti mine security fence and intruded at Code D. The aim of the illegal miners was to enter the deep decline. The decision to enter the deep decline was because of a promise made to these illegal miners by the leadership of the NDC during the campaign. The promise was to assist them to illegally mine in areas which had been legally acquired by the Anglo-Gold Company. Also, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, speaking to Parliament on February 19, 2025, raised a very disturbing issue of insecurity, leading to an alarming rate of illegal mining activities within the nation's forest reserves. 9 out of the 44 forest reserves have been completely taken by illegal mining thugs with impunity. Our security agents and the Forestry Commission no longer have access to these forest reserves. We wish to ask, since when thugs involved in illegal mining became more powerful than our well-trained security agents? This is the true state of the fight against galamsey, for which reason the President's address was scanty on any real steps to tackle the canker. Infrastructure development. The President conveniently omitted from his address the strides made in the housing sector under the immediate past administration. This included the completion of some of the stalled projects inherited in 2017, like the Asokori Mampong housing project, resumption of works on the Adenta SHC estate, and the selection of the private partner to commence work on the completion of the Sakime project. Additionally, 1,000 homes were delivered to the security services, 1,000 homes delivered by the TDC, and nearly another 1,000 homes by the State Housing Company. The administration also set up the National Home Ownership Fund that has delivered about 500 homes so far. The President failed to mention that the Ministry of Finance under President Akufo-Addo gave approval to GIF to set up a GIF housing sub-fund to receive funding for bankable housing projects, while the Ministry of Housing rolled out a PPP framework to stimulate housing. These strides made in the housing sector marked an unprecedented change in the approach to resolving the housing deficit in Ghana. Instead of seeking to lambast the outbound administration, credit should rather be given to it, followed by a commitment to build on it. The Ghana Priority Health Infrastructure Project, referred to as Agenda 111, was to design, construct, and equip 111 hospitals across the country. The need for the construction of hospitals became essential after Ghana recorded its first case of COVID-19 on 12 March 2020. In one of his regular addresses to the nation, where he detailed the government's measures to contain the spread of the virus, His Excellency, President Akufo-Addo, bemoaned the lack of hospitals in some 88 districts and 6 newly created regions of the country, and promised swift government investment in new hospitals, not only to address the urgent need to contain the spread of the virus in those districts and regions, but also to correct the anomaly in the distribution of health infrastructure across the country. The initial hospitals comprise of 101 district hospitals, 7 regional hospitals, 2 regional psychiatric hospitals, and 1 national psychiatric hospital in Accra. The program was, however, revised to include 3 district hospitals, thus expanding to cover 114 sites. As at 31 December 2024, progress on completion of civil works were 37 sites achieved 70% completion and above. 28 sites achieved between 50 and 70% completion, and 36 sites achieved below 50% completion. These district hospitals, 3 district hospitals, and this is important,